Hello, welcome to Latte Firm for a quick reaction video. It's just approaching 4:45 in the morning, and I've just got back from France. Sounds ridiculous, but I have. Arsenal have been beaten in our first away Champions League group stage game of this season to Racing Club Lens, and it was a disappointing game. And actually, I think a game that we deserved to get nothing out of. We got what we deserved. Didn't do enough to maybe even get a draw, and I think we come home feeling a bit sorry for ourselves. And at what cost? Bukayo Saka getting injured. Is he going to miss the big game this weekend? If you're tuning in for the first time, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, of course. We're on our way to 30,000 subs, and get involved in the chat. I'm going to keep it nice and short because I want to get to bed and I need to be in St. Paul's in about 2.5 hours' time for work, for breakfast. But I wanted to get this off my chest. So let's share the slides as we normally do and start with the team news, courtesy of Arsenal.com. Sorry for the voice as well. When the team news came out, I was astonished. Going into the game, I was more anxious about this weekend's fixture against Manchester City. I know it's not a cup final. I know it's not the be-all and end-all, but it feels like a game of enormous magnitude for Arsenal, and one that I think could determine how strong our title challenge is. And I tweeted before the game, I wanted Mikel to make changes, wholesale changes. I think we can afford to lose a game in this group. I think we can afford to even drop points and draw. And I thought today was the perfect opportunity to rotate, and to rotate strongly. So when I saw, David Raya in goal, again, bit of a mixed game. Tomiyasu, pleased to see him come in. Ben White needs a bit of a rest. Saliba and Gabriel Sinchenko again, who sort of didn't last the entire 90. I don't know if that's what we're going to sort of see from him every 3 days. Declan Rice coming in, Odegaard and Havertz, Saka, who of course we lost. We'll talk about Bukayo in just a second. Trossard and Jesus. I think Mikel could have made many, many more changes. There were players on the bench that I would have liked to have seen. Jakub Kivior, Emil Smith-Rowe, Jorginho, Fabio Vieira, Reece Nelson, Mo Elneny. I mean, he's been in and around the squad now for a few weeks. So there's a lot of players there that I think could have done a job. And look, ultimately, we played our strongest team, picked up an injury, lost the game anyway. And as it happens, the result in the other fixture was a draw. So it's going to be a comfortable group. I think that's what we have to remember. It's a group stage of the Champions League. We will qualify. We'll probably top the group. And I just think with the enormous fixture that lies ahead in just a few days' time, I think Mikel really should have rotated. But there we are. He didn't. Disappointing result in the end. But I've got to say, just a fabulous experience to go to France via the Eurotunnel, to go to Lens. The fans were wonderful. Very, very, hospitable, very welcoming. And it was just an incredible atmosphere. This was the first time, of course, that Lens are in the Champions League since 2002, I think, from memory. So 21 years they've not been in this competition, and it showed. The fans were so up for it. Even well over an hour before kickoff, the lower tier of all the regular stands at the stadium was completely full, vibrant with colour, with flags, with songs. It was just a really nice sort of atmosphere, nice environment to be there. And of course, it was the first time in a few years that we've ventured away from home in the Champions League. So it was a really special night. The fourth picture on the right-hand side there, Arsenal fans were trapped at the end. We were let out of the stadium, but trapped in the car park for a while. Things were beginning to heat up on the street, and I think it was more traffic control, actually. But we were left hanging on in our cars outside in the car park for well over an hour. And it was just lucky that it wasn't raining or cold. Excuse me. Arsenal fans sort of remained in good spirits, but of course, the race back to the Eurotunnel proceeded straight after that. And as an event and as a competition that you want to be in, fabulous, really, really fabulous experience despite the defeat. And that's what we're going to talk about now. We actually started pretty well. I thought first sort of 10, 15 minutes, we were just a little slow to get out of the blocks. Lens had a couple of corners, a couple of chances. And then Gabby Jesus, just on the quarter-hour mark, broke the deadlock with a really nice finish. Bukayo Saka with the assist, who else? And at that point, you're thinking, right, okay, 1-0. Maybe we can keep knocking on the door, get a second, maybe rotate players in the second half and keep them fresh for Manchester City. But it wasn't meant to be, because I think just on the half-hour mark, it felt Bukayo Saka obviously just went down. Every Arsenal fan had their heart in their mouths, thinking, gosh, is this the one? is this the knock? Bukayo Saka over the last few weeks has been showing glimpses of pain, of emotion, of frustration, of just getting kicked the shit out of. And um, the red flags have been there, the warning sign, the writing's been on the wall, whatever phrase you want to use to describe it. And today was the day. And he went off injured on the half-hour mark. We brought on Fabio Vieira, and I thought that was a bit strange because Leo Trossard, of course, out wide, and Vieira on the other side. Not really two natural wingers, and we saw quite quickly how much we'd struggle in the absence of both Martinelli and Saka as outlets on the flanks. I was a bit surprised that Reece Nelson didn't come on. He did come on, of course, with Ben White in the second half, as did Emil Smith-Rowe, who I thought had a really good performance. Another cameo performance coming on for Kai Havertz. Bit of directness, bit of energy. Always really good at those secondary runs, those give and goes. I thought he was good. Reece didn't really have much luck out on the flanks. The ball went out of play a couple of times. That was a bit frustrating. But there was no real penetration in that final third. We were passing the ball side to side, that sort of horseshoe shape that Mikel Arteta and his team were doing maybe a couple of years ago. That it wasn't good to see. I talked about David Raya having a mixed performance. I think actually it was a poor clearance from him that led to their equaliser, which of course was scored by Adrian Thomason. And it only took about 10 minutes for them to respond, and that was just a bit disappointing. I think David Raya's, he's 4 games into his Arsenal career. I was surprised to see him take the number 1 shirt, if you like, so quickly. And I think Mikel's got a bit of a situation here because Ramsdale hadn't really done much wrong before being replaced by Raya. Raya's distribution was a little bit mixed tonight. Some good passes, some not so good clearances and passes. The first finish, the first goal was a great finish, and maybe he could have done better, but the clearance was poor. You go in at half time and you think, okay, well, we've made the change. Let's come out. Let's try and get the win. And of course, Lens went and scored 20 minutes from the end. Again, a really good goal. And we can't say that it wasn't coming. They were creating chances from cutbacks and crosses, and they weren't really testing the goalkeeper, because they kept hitting, kept missing the target, but they kept getting into the box, kept getting, onto the end of chances. Takahiro Tomiyasu, of course, having a really good effort from a corner, which was saved by their goalkeeper. But I just don't think we did enough. And, the image on the right-hand side there, the Farmers League strikes again. Lens have made a really good account for themselves tonight. They're a really good team. They're technically very strong. They were holding onto the ball really well, keeping calm and playing it out of trouble. And they were patient in their build-up, and they carved through us, quite a few times. So really impressed by what I saw by Lens. But of course, when they come back to the Emirates, it's going to be a completely different ball game. But the game itself, I can't complain with the result. I think we'd have been fortunate to get the draw. Obviously, the optimist in me would have wanted the win, but I think we probably got what we deserved tonight. So they'll be feeling sad. They'll be feeling that they need to react. And what a fixture at the weekend to sort of, come back to. And at what cost? This is not what we want to see. Bukayo Saka, I just mentioned a few moments ago, last couple of games has showed signs that he's just in need of a rest, or just to be taken out of the limelight for a bit. We've got the international friendly, of course, after this weekend's game. Maybe there's a plan with England, maybe not. There probably isn't, to be fair. But how important is it now that he's fit for this game? To go into a Manchester City game without potentially Martinelli, Saka, Partey, is he fit? It's just devastating. It's so heartbreaking because City have shown their quality. They are the team to beat. They wiped us aside last season quite comfortably at the Etihad in both the FA Cup and the Premier League. And I feel like we have to take that scalp. I feel that we have to make the most of this opportunity. It's a home game. Then they haven't got Rodri, they haven't got De Bruyne, but we need our best players. And Mikel, he's taken a risk tonight. He's played the strongest team. We've picked up an injury. We've lost the game. I think Mikel needs to think about rotation. This weekend, in my opinion, is the bigger game, the more important fixture. it means a lot more in the grand scheme of things. You know, we can afford, like I said, to lose a group stage game or drop points or rotate players and not quite put in the performance. As it happens, we played the strongest team and picked up an injury. So I'm a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous about that. Nothing really to add, just a really disappointing result. The group is still wide open. You know, the other game in the group was a draw. We will still qualify comfortably, in my opinion. I think we can still top the group. We'll probably beat this lot at home, beat Seville at home, and maybe have to get a draw in one of the other fixtures, and I think we'll be fine. So all eyes now on Manchester City. It's the big one at the weekend. Let's see how they fare against Leipzig tomorrow away in the Champions League. They've, of course, been playing away from home for a few games now in a row, but it's an almighty task. That's it. I'm going to leave you there. It's, like I said, just approaching 5 a.m. now in the UK. I need to get to bed and be up for work in a couple of hours' time. So enjoy the day. Not the best result, not the best news, but we will be back. Manchester City at the weekend. Until then, bonsoir.